Has you ever been in that situation where you're talking to someone who could really make a difference for your organization, like a major donor, and you're just kind of stuck on how much to ask them?
Oh, yeah.
It's like this awkward silence hanging there, and you don't want to aim too high or too low. It's like trying to land a plane in the dark without knowing where the runway is.
I totally get it. Like you're shooting from the hip and hoping for the best.
Exactly. And from what we've been looking at in preparation for this deep dive, it seems like a lot of nonprofits are dealing with that same uncertainty, and it might actually be costing them a ton of money.
It really is remarkable when you think about it. The data suggests that because nonprofits are maybe not as confident or precise as they could be when asking for major gifts,
Hmm.
they could be missing out on hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars.
That's a huge amount of potential support left on the table, and that's exactly why we're diving into this tool called Donor Abacus today.
Right.
We want to explore how this platform is trying to make those major gift conversations way less stressful and a lot more data-driven. We've got this introductory letter and some email correspondence that breaks down what Donor Abacus is all about.
It's interesting because Donor Abacus isn't coming into a space where there's nothing already out there. Most nonprofits are using CRMs to manage their donor relationships and keep track of giving history. And a lot of them are also using those AI-powered tools that assess a donor's capacity to give.
So it's building on what's already there, but with a specific focus on major gifts. It's not about replacing those core tools, but more like adding a layer of specialized intelligence for those big asks from high net worth individuals. Where do you see it fitting in and adding value that might be missing from those existing tools?
I think the key here is that while CRMs are great for managing relationships and capacity assessments, give you a general idea of what a donor might be able to give. Donor Abacus seems to be focused on figuring out the best possible amount to ask for in a specific moment.
Okay, so it's not just about knowing what someone could give, but more about predicting what they're most likely to give right now based on all these different factors.
Right.
It's like a highly specific weather forecast for that one crucial conversation.
Exactly. And that level of precision can make a big difference in the outcome.
Now, digging a little deeper, what's the motivation behind Donor Abacus? What's the big YTY that's driving its creation?
From the introductory letter, it seems like the founder is really passionate about strengthening the entire nonprofit sector. Their vision is to unlock more of that untapped potential in philanthropy by giving fundraisers the tools and confidence they need to ask for more and to remove some of their own personal biases when it comes to money.
So the idea is that if fundraisers are more informed and confident in their asks, it can lead to more generous giving, which ultimately benefits the causes they're working for. It's like a ripple effect of positive impact.
Precisely. The more resources nonprofits have, the more good they can do in the world.
Absolutely. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does Donor Abacus actually achieve this? What's the how behind unlocking all this potential?
The core of it seems to be predictive analytics. The platform analyzes all sorts of data about affluent donors, like their past giving history, how engaged they are with the organization, overall trends in philanthropy, and even publicly available information about their wealth, to recommend an ask amount that's both ambitious and realistic.
So instead of relying on gut feeling or guesswork, it's about grounding those important decisions in solid data. One of the emails we read mentioned that the platform's pledge predictive accuracy is really impressive. What does that tell us?
Well, it suggests that their analytical models are pretty sophisticated. They're not just looking at the surface, but digging deeper to find patterns and connections that can accurately predict how much a donor is likely to pledge. It hints at a deep understanding of donor behavior that goes way beyond simple capacity metrics.
It's like bringing a level of scientific rigor to what's traditionally been seen as more of an art form. But is there a risk that focusing too much on data could make the whole fundraising process feel less human and potentially damage those important personal connections?
That's a really valid concern, but from what I've gathered, Donor Abacus isn't about replacing the human element. It's more about supporting and enhancing those relationships. By providing these data-driven insights about ask amounts, it can actually free up fundraisers to focus more on building rapport with donors, understanding their motivations, and making a compelling case for their support instead of getting caught up in the anxiety of how much should I ask for.
All right, so the data is there to inform the what, but the human connection is still crucial for the how of those conversations. It's about finding that balance between data and empathy.
Exactly. And the materials also highlight how Donor Abacus can help nonprofits determine the true value of their major donor pipeline. Why do you think that's so important?
I think being able to accurately assess the value of your major donor pipeline is essential for any nonprofit that wants to be financially stable and plan strategically. It allows you to forecast future revenue with more confidence, which then affects budgeting, program development, and overall sustainability. Instead of relying on rough estimates, you can have a much clearer, data-backed understanding of how much potential income you can expect from major gifts.
That's a huge advantage, especially when you're thinking about long-term projects or if you need to navigate some unexpected financial challenges. And this is particularly valuable when you're considering something like a capital campaign where you need a really solid grasp of your fundraising capacity to set realistic goals and timelines.
For sure, it seems like Donor Abacus could provide a lot more certainty and grounding in those situations. Now, one of the features that stood out to me was the readiness score. Can you explain what that is and why it seems so important?
What's really interesting about the readiness score is that it's proactive. It's not just about suggesting an ask amount, but also about evaluating whether the organization is truly ready to have a productive major gift conversation with a specific donor. It's like a gauge that measures the strength of the relationship and whether you have all the key information you need.
So it's like a built-in warning system to help fundraisers avoid making an ask too early or without having laid the proper groundwork, which could be really crucial for protecting those valuable long-term relationships with donors.
Absolutely. It encourages a more thoughtful and strategic approach to major gift fundraising and helps reduce the risk of alienating donors with a poorly timed or unprepared ask.
It really speaks to how the nonprofit sector is evolving and adopting a more data-informed and strategic approach to fundraising, not to replace those personal connections, but to make them even stronger.
Exactly. It's about equipping fundraisers with the insights they need to be more strategic, more confident, and ultimately more successful in securing the resources their organizations need to achieve their missions.
So to sum it all up, Donor Abacus is a SaaS tool that aims to bring data-driven decision-making to the world of major gift fundraising. By using predictive analytics and features like the readiness score, it's designed to help nonprofits figure out the right ask amounts, accurately value their donor pipelines, and plan capital campaigns more effectively, all of which can lead to greater fundraising success.
This brings me to a final thought for you. As these data and analytics tools become more common, how do you think they'll change the future of philanthropy? If we can take a lot of the guesswork out of major gift fundraising, what new possibilities might open up for the causes you care about? Could this shift lead to a whole new level of impact and help organizations achieve even bigger goals? It's a really fascinating intersection of technology and the human desire to make a difference.
It really makes you think about the potential for change and how embracing these new approaches could lead to a brighter future for the nonprofit sector and the people it serves.
Definitely something to consider as we continue to explore the evolving world of philanthropy and the role that technology can play in helping us create a more just and equitable society.
Thanks for joining me for this deep dive into Donor Abacus. It's been a really thought-provoking conversation, and I'm excited to see how this tool continues to evolve and what impact it has on the future of fundraising.